Stop waiting for motivation. Stop blaming your circumstances. Every day you let pass without action is another day your past self wins. You are either growing or you are fading. This audiobook will teach you the silent, daily rituals that turn small, invisible actions into unstoppable personal growth. By the end, you won't just understand progress, you'll live it. You have a choice. Outgrow yesterday, starting right now. Chapter 1. Do the work, forget the proof. You've been wasting your energy, wasting your focus, wasting your life trying to prove something to people who don't matter. The constant need for validation is a silent killer. It drains your mental energy. It distracts you from the work that actually builds results. And here's the truth. No one owes you recognition. No one owes you applause. You have a choice. You can keep chasing approval or you can start doing. That's the key. Doing is quiet. Doing is lonely. Doing is invisible. The most powerful people in the world did not start by posting their progress on social media. They did not start by waiting for someone to notice them. They started by showing up. Every day. In private. While the world watched other people chase attention, they were building skill, building habits, building mastery. You don't need their permission. You don't need their approval. You need your own discipline. Let me give you an example. Michael Jordan, the greatest basketball player of all time. Do you think he got there because people cheered for him in high school? No. He got cut from his varsity team as a sophomore. He could have quit. He could have begged for validation. But instead he trained. Alone. Early mornings. Late nights. Rain, snow, heat, fatigue. None of it mattered. He did the work. Forget the proof. Outgrow yesterday. That's the principle we are talking about. You can apply the same principle to your life. Whatever your field is, business, fitness, art, relationships, you have to stop performing for the crowd and start performing for yourself. Stop proving and start doing. Stop talking about what you want to do. Stop posting what you're planning. Stop explaining your vision to people who won't act on it themselves. Every second you spend seeking validation is a second stolen from progress. Let's break it down. First, stop worrying about recognition. You have a choice. Recognition is a byproduct, not a goal. Recognition cannot be manufactured. It comes after mastery. Focus on mastery. Focus on consistency. Focus on the daily actions that silently compound over months and years. That's the key. Do the work. Forget the proof. Outgrow yesterday. Say it again. Do the work. Forget the proof. Outgrow yesterday. Repeat it until it burns into your mind. Second, create invisible wins. These are the small victories nobody sees. Writing one page of your book. Practicing a skill for an hour before anyone knows you exist. Running that extra mile before your friends wake up. These invisible wins accumulate into unstoppable momentum. The world may never see them, but results never lie. Success is quiet before it's loud. That's the key. You don't need their permission. You don't need their applause. You need your discipline. Now here's where most people fail. They get discouraged because no one notices. They give up because the world isn't clapping yet. Stop. Stop right now. You are not working for applause. You are not performing for validation. You are outgrowing your past self. You are building a version of you that other people will notice naturally. And that is infinitely more powerful than any temporary recognition. Think about the long game. Every day you chase attention, you are stealing hours from mastery. Every moment you compare yourself to someone else, you are weakening your focus. Every post, every comment, every attempt to justify your worth, it chips away at your potential. Stop proving. Start doing. That's the principle. That's the action. That's the transformation. Let's make it practical. Right now, identify one thing you've been doing to prove yourself. One thing you've been doing to seek approval. Now stop it. Delete it. Walk away. Replace it with one action that matters. One small step that builds skill. One habit that strengthens you. One task that no one will see but will transform your life. That's the key. You have a choice. Every day, every hour, every minute. Stop proving. Start doing. You'll need repetition. You'll need discipline. You'll need to remind yourself constantly, do the work. Forget the proof. Outgrow yesterday. Write it on a sticky note. Put it on your mirror. Say it before you sleep. Say it when you wake up. Say it every time you are tempted to seek validation. Every time someone criticizes you. Every time the applause is absent. Say it. Internalize it. Own it. Here's another example. Serena Williams, one of the greatest athletes of all time. Do you think she dominated because people noticed her as a child? No. She practiced for hours in empty courts. She endured criticism, setbacks, losses. The public didn't care. Coaches didn't cheer. She had a choice: stop proving or start doing. She chose to do. She chose discipline. She chose silent growth. That's the principle. And it works in every field. Let's be clear. This isn't about arrogance. This isn't about isolation. This is about self-mastery. You are in a competition, not with anyone else but with your own past. The louder the world claps, the less you learn. The quieter the work, the louder your results eventually speak. That's the key. You have a choice. You don't need their permission. You don't need their applause. You need your discipline. You need your focus. You need your commitment to silent progress. Now take a moment and reflect. What would your life look like if you spent today not proving but doing? If you spent this hour building skill instead of chasing likes? If you spent this week mastering a habit instead of arguing with critics? That's the path to transformation. That's the path to outgrowing yesterday. You have a choice. That's the key. Stop proving. Start doing. Repeat. 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 Finally, let me leave you with this. You cannot outsource your growth. You cannot shortcut the work. You cannot ask the world to validate your efforts. Every great person you admire started in silence. Every major breakthrough in history began in obscurity. You are not different. You have the same opportunity. You have the same potential. You have the same daily hours. The only question is, will you stop proving and start doing? Do the work. Forget the proof. Outgrow yesterday. You have a choice. Every day, every hour, every moment. No one will hand it to you. No one will cheer you on. You have to take it. You have to earn it. You have to grow silently, relentlessly, and without apology. That is how you win. That is how you master yourself. That is how you outgrow yesterday. You mastered your need for validation. You mastered silent action. Now let's talk about the true currency of your life. Chapter 2. The silent cost of seeking validation. You are spending your life paying for attention you don't need. Every like, every comment, every nod of approval, it's stealing your focus, your energy, your potential. And here's the brutal truth. Seeking validation is one of the quietest killers of personal growth. You feel it in your mind before you see it in your results. The mental energy that could build your skills, your discipline, your life, it's siphoned away by the need to be accepted, liked, or admired. You have a choice. You can continue begging for approval, or you can refuse to play that game. That's the key. Your approval is irrelevant. Your results are everything. Say it with me. My approval is irrelevant. My results are everything. Repeat it until it cuts through every doubt, every insecurity, every temptation to perform for others instead of yourself. Think about entrepreneurs. Look at the people who actually change the world. They don't start by posting updates or waiting for likes. They start quietly. They work in garages, in basements, in tiny apartments. They fail in private. They struggle while the world is distracted by noise, recognition, and applause. Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, Sarah Blakely. None of them waited for approval before acting. None of them measured their worth by validation. They focused on results. They focused on action. They focused on creating value. And that is why the world eventually had no choice but to notice them. You are no different. Every time you post, explain, justify, or seek validation, you are trading hours of growth for temporary comfort. Temporary approval. Temporary reassurance. The world doesn't care, and that's exactly how you should operate. When you stop seeking validation, you reclaim your mental energy. You reclaim your focus. You reclaim your life. That's the key. You have a choice. You can either live for the approval of others or live for your own results. You cannot do both. Here's the mechanism. When you seek validation, your brain prioritizes social feedback over real progress. You chase reactions, not mastery. You optimize your image, not your skills. You curate what people see instead of curating what you actually achieve. It's invisible, but it's deadly. Every hour spent worrying about someone's opinion is an hour your competition is using to outgrow you. Every minute spent seeking praise is a minute your future self will never get back. Let me give you a story. There's an entrepreneur I know who built a six-figure business before anyone on social media knew her name. She did not post inspirational quotes. She did not craft a personal brand before she had results. She spent hours learning her craft, experimenting, failing quietly, and iterating in private. The world didn't notice. She didn't care. She focused on mastery. Today, her results speak louder than any social media post ever could. That is the cost of seeking validation. You delay, distract, and diminish your potential when you rely on applause. You can see it in your own life. How many times have you held back because you feared judgment? How many times have you shaped your choices around what people might think? That's wasted energy. That's invisible weight. And it is silently limiting your growth. You are capable of more than you imagine, but not if you are bending yourself toward approval. That's the key. You have a choice. You don't need their validation. You don't need their applause. You only need your results. Here's how to fix it. Step 1. Remove the mirror. Stop constantly checking what others think. Stop refreshing notifications. Stop asking for reassurance. Step 2. Redirect that energy. Take the mental bandwidth you were spending on approval and invest it in your craft. Invest it in learning, practicing, creating, and refining. Step 3. Repeat. Repeat until the habit becomes automatic. Make results, not applause, your metric of success. Your approval is irrelevant. Your results are everything. Say it again. My approval is irrelevant. My results are everything. Let's be clear. This is not arrogance. This is not selfishness. This is not isolation. This is efficiency. This is discipline. You cannot chase validation and mastery at the same time. One will always steal from the other. The world will not hand you permission to succeed. No one will nod. No one will cheer. You must give yourself permission. You must reward yourself with quiet, relentless progress. That is how champions are made. That is how entrepreneurs dominate. That is how you outgrow yesterday. Another example, consider J.K. Rowling. Before Harry Potter became a worldwide phenomenon, she was rejected multiple times. Editors ignored her. Critics doubted her. Publishers said no. She could have quit. She could have tried to prove herself. But she didn't. She wrote anyway. She focused on the story. She focused on the craft. She focused on the result. One book completed, one chapter at a time. And today the world recognizes her genius, not because she begged for approval, but because she delivered undeniable results. That is the silent power of ignoring validation. You have to internalize this. Every time you seek approval, imagine it as a leak in your energy tank. Every time you chase praise, imagine your focus bleeding out. Stop it. Plug the leak. Turn inward. Work quietly. Grow silently. Let the results eventually scream on your behalf. The louder you work in silence, the stronger your foundation. The louder you ignore validation, the faster you accelerate toward mastery. That's the key. You have a choice. Your approval is irrelevant. Your results are everything. Now, here's the actionable step for today. Pick one area of your life where you have been seeking validation. Maybe it's work, maybe it's social media, maybe it's friends or family. Identify it. Stop posting. Stop explaining. Stop asking for permission. Take one meaningful action that produces real progress, not temporary comfort. Write it down. Execute it. Repeat. This is how invisible wins compound. This is how you reclaim your mental energy. This is how you outgrow yesterday. Remember the mantra. Say it every day. Say it every time doubt creeps in. Say it every time the world doesn't notice your effort. Your approval is irrelevant. Your results are everything. Say it loud in your mind. Say it quietly to yourself. Let it guide every action, every choice, every hour of your life. That is the foundation for silent growth. That is the pathway to self-mastery. That is how you ensure that when the world finally notices, You are already unrecognizable compared to the person you were yesterday. You've learned the cost of seeking validation. You've seen how it steals energy, focus, and potential. You've learned the power of quiet mastery. Now it's time to build discipline that compounds, even when no one is watching. Next, we move to Chapter 3, Your Future Self is Watching. Every action you take today writes the blueprint for tomorrow. Are you ready to build it right? Chapter 4, Consistency Beats Motivation. Stop believing in motivation. Stop waiting for inspiration to strike. Motivation is fleeting. Motivation is unreliable. Motivation comes and goes like the weather, and if you rely on it, you will fail. Every successful person you admire didn't get there because they were motivated every single day. They got there because they were consistent. That's the key. Consistency beats motivation. Always. You can feel motivated one day and lazy the next. You can feel inspired at dawn and distracted by dusk. Motivation is a mood. Discipline is a lifestyle. Discipline is doing the work whether you feel like it or not. Discipline is showing up when no one is watching. Discipline is repeating small actions day after day, week after week, year after year, until results become inevitable. You have a choice. Do it daily. Do it without excitement. Do it anyway. That's the mantra. Say it now. Do it daily. Do it without excitement. Do it anyway. Let me give you a real-world example. Warren Buffett, one of the most successful investors in history. Do you think he got there by feeling inspired every morning? No. For decades, he followed the same simple habits. Reading, analyzing, investing with discipline, and avoiding distractions. No hype. No social media posts. No applause. Just relentless consistency. That's why results compounded exponentially. That's why he dominates his field. That's why you must understand. Small, disciplined actions create unstoppable momentum. Motivation doesn't. Here's the difference. Motivation is emotional. It comes from external sources. Quotes, videos, speeches, other people's energy. Discipline is internal. It comes from your decision to act regardless of your mood, your feelings, or your circumstances. You can't control motivation, but you can control your actions. And that is power. That is mastery. That is how you outgrow yesterday. You have a choice. Do it daily. Do it without excitement. Do it anyway. Repeat it. Embed it. Live it. Now let's break it down further. Imagine two people with the same goal, to build strength, skill, or knowledge. Person A waits until they feel motivated. They exercise, work, or study when the energy is high, the mood is right, the conditions are perfect. Person B shows up every day regardless of feelings, whether distractions or mood. Who do you think progresses faster? Who do you think builds unstoppable momentum? The answer is obvious. Consistency destroys reliance on emotion. Consistency eliminates excuses. Consistency wins. That's the key. You have a choice. This principle applies to everything: fitness, business, learning, habits, relationships. Every area of life rewards repetition and punishes inconsistency. Want to get fit? Work out every day even when tired. Want to learn a skill? Practice daily even when bored. Want to grow your business? Take consistent action even when results are invisible. Motivation is irrelevant. Discipline is everything. You have a choice. Do it daily. Do it without excitement. Do it anyway. Say it again. Do it daily. Do it without excitement. Do it anyway. Here's another example. James Dyson, the inventor of the Dyson vacuum, failed thousands of times before creating a successful product. Did he wait for motivation? Did he wait to feel inspired? No. He showed up repeatedly, testing, failing, iterating, and improving. Every single day. That consistency built results that motivation never could. That is the principle. That is the lesson. That is the path you must follow. Let's be brutally honest. Excitement fades. Energy fades. Inspiration fades. But results? Results last. And results are created through repeated, disciplined action. Every single day, even when you feel tired. Every single day, even when no one notices. Every single day, even when you want to quit. That is how success is built silently, relentlessly. That is how your future self is protected. That is how you outgrow yesterday. You have a choice. Here's how to implement this immediately. Step 1. Identify one critical habit you want to develop. It can be reading, exercise, writing, learning a language, or building a skill. Step 2. Commit to doing it every day for the next 30 days without relying on motivation. Step 3. Schedule it like a meeting with yourself. No excuses. Step 4. Track it. Measure it. Write it down. Step 5. Repeat. Do it daily. Do it without excitement. Do it anyway. That is your formula for unstoppable growth. Now let's address a common objection. But what if I feel burned out? What if I'm too tired? Stop. That's exactly why you practice consistency. You act regardless of feelings. You act when it's inconvenient. You act when it's uncomfortable. That is how discipline is forged. That is how momentum is built. That is how the invisible wins stack up until your results are undeniable. Motivation cannot give you this. Only consistency can. You have a choice. Do it daily. Do it without excitement. Do it anyway. Another mental hack. Embrace small wins. You don't need massive sessions of effort every day. You need regular, repeated action. 10 push-ups, 10 minutes of reading, 5 minutes of focused work. Done consistently, these small wins compound like interest in a bank account. Motivation is useless if you wait for perfect conditions. Discipline and repetition are everything. That's the key. You have a choice. Here's the reality. You cannot outsource consistency. You cannot rely on luck, inspiration, or external forces. You must cultivate it inside yourself. You must commit to showing up. You must commit to doing the work even when it's boring, even when it's unseen, even when no one believes in you. That is how your results accumulate. That is how your potential is unlocked. That is how you outgrow yesterday. Repeat after me. Do it daily. Do it without excitement. Do it anyway. Finally, let's look ahead. Motivation will come and go, but your discipline will carry you forward. Your future self will thank you. Your results will speak for themselves. The choices you make daily, repeated actions, even when unseen, compound into unstoppable growth. Momentum is not built in bursts of inspiration. Momentum is built in silent, repeated, disciplined action. You have a choice. Do it daily. Do it without excitement. Do it anyway. Let it be your mantra. Let it be your law. Let it be your path to mastery. You've learned why consistency beats motivation. You've seen the examples of Warren Buffett, James Dyson, and countless others who showed up relentlessly. You've understood the mechanics of compounding effort. Now, it's time to put it into practice. Next, we move to Chapter 5. Outperform your past self daily. Because showing up consistently is not enough. You must also ensure every action makes you stronger than yesterday. Are you ready to execute? Chapter 5. Outperform your past self daily. Stop comparing yourself to others. Stop measuring your worth by someone else's success. That's a trap. A mental prison. The only benchmark that matters is your yesterday. The only standard that matters is the person you were before today. You have a choice. You can compete with the world or you can compete with yourself. That's the key. Yesterday is the enemy. Today is your weapon. Repeat it. Let it sink in. Yesterday is the enemy. Today is your weapon. Every day you wake up, you have a battlefield in front of you. The opponent? Your past self. The enemy? Your old habits, old excuses, old weaknesses. And the weapon? Your actions. Your choices. Your discipline. Every decision you make either strengthens or weakens your position. Every action either elevates you above yesterday or drags you back into the comfort of your old self. You have a choice. You can outgrow yesterday, or you can surrender to it. That's the key. Yesterday is the enemy. Today is your weapon. Say it aloud. Say it in your mind. On it. Let me give you a story. Consider a writer. They sit at their desk every day. Some days they write 1 page. Other days 5. Some days they struggle. Some days they feel uninspired. But they track their progress. They challenge themselves to do more than yesterday. They read more, research more, revise more. Every day 1 step beyond yesterday. Invisible to the world, but transformative in their craft. That's how mastery is built. That's how momentum is created. You have a choice. Yesterday is the enemy. Today is your weapon. Repeat it. Internalize it. Live it. Athletes do the same thing. Michael Phelps didn't become the greatest swimmer in history by racing others. He became the greatest by obsessively tracking his times, his techniques, his laps, and his strokes. Every day a tiny improvement. Every day a marginal gain. Every day beating the version of himself who showed up yesterday. That's the principle. That's the system. That's the pathway to dominance. You have a choice. Outperform yourself. Every single day. Yesterday is the enemy. Today is your weapon. Innovators follow this principle as well. Elon Musk, Steve Jobs, countless entrepreneurs, they obsess over progress, not comparison. They measure themselves by what they accomplished yesterday. They push one step further, one iteration beyond. They don't wait for inspiration. They don't wait for recognition. They track, they adjust, they improve. Silent progress, repeated daily, compounds into unstoppable results. That is how you outgrow your past self. That's the key. Yesterday is the enemy. Today is your weapon. Here's the brutal truth. Comparing yourself to others is useless. It creates envy, distraction, and paralysis. It robs you of focus. It robs you of energy. And it robs your future self of progress. The only person you should measure yourself against is the person you were yesterday. Are you stronger than yesterday? Smarter than yesterday? Healthier than yesterday? Fitter than yesterday? More disciplined than yesterday? That is the only question that matters. You have a choice. Outperform yourself. Yesterday is the enemy. Today is your weapon. Repeat it. Live it. Own it. Let's make this actionable. Step 1. Track yourself. Write down one measurable aspect of your life you want to improve. Reading, fitness, skills, work output, or mindset. Step 2. Commit to beating yesterday in that one area. Step 3. Review daily. Adjust. Push further. Step 4. Repeat. Every day. Every action counts. Every decision compounds. This is how invisible progress becomes visible results. You have a choice. Yesterday is the enemy. Today is your weapon. Say it again. Let it guide you. Another story. Consider an athlete training for a marathon. Day 1 they run 2 miles. Day 2, 2.5. Day 3, 3. It's not dramatic. It's not flashy. But each day they outperform the version of themselves from the day before. Each day they move closer to mastery. Each day they stack invisible wins until one day they cross the finish line, surprised by how far they've come. That is the power of daily improvement. That is the principle you must adopt. Yesterday is the enemy. Today is your weapon. Repeat it. Repeat it. Repeat it. This principle applies to every part of life. Relationships, career, fitness, skills, mindset, wealth, spirituality. You must commit to outpacing your past self in every meaningful area. You must track progress. You must embrace discipline. You must love the struggle because growth is uncomfortable. Growth is invisible. Growth requires focus and consistency. You have a choice. Outperform yourself. Yesterday is the enemy. Today is your weapon. Let it be your guide. Let it be your mantra. Let it be your law. Here's the mental trick. Visualize your past self as a competitor. Every day they are standing in your way, holding your habits, your weaknesses, your fears. Every action you take, every disciplined choice, every step forward, you defeat them. You outperform them. You evolve beyond them. That competitor cannot beat you if you show up daily. That competitor cannot stop your progress if you act consistently. That's the power of focusing on your own growth. You have a choice. Yesterday is the enemy. Today is your weapon. Say it aloud. Say it now. Repeat it. Finally, remember, the person you were yesterday cannot give you permission to succeed. They cannot build your future. They cannot create results. Only you can. Every action you take today is a vote for the person you will be tomorrow. Every habit you form today strengthens or weakens your foundation. Every second you waste feeding your old self is a second your future self will pay for. You have a choice. Outperform your past self. Yesterday is the enemy. Today is your weapon. You've learned the principle. The only benchmark that matters is your yesterday. You've seen how writers, athletes, and innovators use it to build unstoppable growth. Now it's time to implement it. Track your progress, measure your improvement, and commit to beating yesterday in at least one area of your life every single day. Next, we move to Chapter 6, The Power of Invisible Wins. Because mastering yourself requires more than effort. You must win silently without applause until your results speak for themselves. Chapter 6, The Power of Invisible Wins. Stop looking for applause. Stop waiting for recognition. Stop measuring your success by what others notice. Most progress, real, meaningful, life-changing progress, happens in private, behind closed doors, in silence, where no one is watching, where no one cares. And that is where winners are made. You have a choice. Celebrate your progress silently. Let the results scream. That's the key. Repeat it. Celebrate your progress silently. Let the results scream. Think about it. Every great athlete, every successful entrepreneur, every master of their craft didn't start with a spotlight. They started in the shadows, alone, focused, practicing relentlessly. Every hour they spent perfecting their craft was an invisible win. Nobody knew. Nobody applauded. Nobody cared. But those hours? They mattered more than any public recognition. That is the power of invisible wins. That is where you build your foundation. You have a choice. Celebrate your progress silently. Let the results scream. Say it now. Internalize it. Own it. Let me give you an example. Consider a musician. Hours spent alone practicing scales, perfecting technique, learning songs nobody will hear yet. No likes, no comments, no praise, just effort. That invisible work compounds. That invisible work becomes skill. That invisible work becomes mastery. And one day when the world finally hears the music, it seems effortless. It seems natural. It seems like talent. But the reality is hidden. The reality is invisible wins. That's the principle. You have a choice. Celebrate your progress silently. Let the results scream. Repeat it. Repeat it. Repeat it. The same is true in business. The most successful entrepreneurs you know, before the fame, before the headlines, worked tirelessly in obscurity. Late nights, early mornings, failures, and repetitions nobody saw. Every iteration, every refinement, every small improvement was an invisible win. Today their results are visible. Today their impact is undeniable. But it all started in private where no applause exists. That's the secret. That's the principle. That's how you outgrow yesterday. You have a choice. Celebrate your progress silently. Let the results scream. Here's the coaching truth. The world will rarely notice your effort in real time. The world will not cheer for your early mornings or late nights. The world will not validate your commitment or consistency. That is the reality. Accept it, embrace it, and let it fuel you. Focus on the work. Focus on improvement. Focus on the results that only you can measure. That's where real power is. That's where silent progress compounds into undeniable results. You have a choice. Celebrate your progress silently. Let the results scream. Now let's get practical. How do you leverage invisible wins in your life? Step 1. Identify what matters. What skill, habit, or goal will transform your life if pursued consistently, even when unseen? Step 2. Schedule daily work toward that goal. Step 3. Ignore outside validation. Do it for yourself, not for the crowd. Step 4. Track your progress privately. Write it down. Measure it. Reflect on it. Step 5. Repeat. Repeat until it becomes a habit. Repeat until it compounds. Repeat until your results speak for themselves. That is the power of invisible wins. Another example, athletes training for years in empty gyms. Writers drafting chapters nobody reads. Programmers debugging code no one sees. Entrepreneurs testing ideas that fail. Pain, repetition, struggle, unnoticed, uncelebrated, but crucial. That invisible effort is what builds resilience, skill, and mastery. That invisible work is what separates the average from the extraordinary. And that is why you must focus on your own progress, not applause. You have a choice. Celebrate your progress silently. Let the results scream. Repeat it now. Embed it in your mind. Live it. Let's be brutally honest. Seeking recognition too early destroys your focus. It steals energy. It encourages shortcuts. It distracts from mastery. If your motivation depends on validation, you will always fail when the applause disappears. Invisible wins are immune to distractions, immune to critics, immune to external noise. Invisible wins build the inner muscle of discipline. They teach patience. They teach perseverance. They teach self-mastery. That's the key. You have a choice. Celebrate your progress silently. Let the results scream. Now, here's a mental hack. Redefine success. Success is not the likes, comments, or praise. Success is improvement. Success is skill. Success is growth that compounds over time. Every hour spent learning, practicing, refining, and doing, when no one is watching, is an investment in your future. That investment will pay dividends later, exponentially. That is the principle of invisible wins. That is how champions are made. You have a choice. Celebrate your progress silently. Let the results scream. Say it aloud. Say it in your mind. Let it guide every action. Here's another story. Thomas Edison. Nobody cheered for his thousands of failed experiments. Nobody celebrated his long nights of trial and error. And yet, his persistence in private, his invisible wins, led to inventions that changed the world. Invisible wins always come before visible results. Master this. Internalize this. Live this. Your future self depends on it. You have a choice. Celebrate your progress silently. Let the results scream. Repeat it. Repeat it. Repeat it. Finally, remember this. The louder the world calls for attention, the more critical it is to work quietly. The world rewards results, not excuses. The world respects skill, not social performance. The world notices mastery, not effort disguised as performance. Every silent win compounds into momentum. Every unseen effort builds character. Every private victory strengthens your foundation. You have a choice. Celebrate your progress silently. Let the results scream. That is how you outgrow yesterday. That is how you dominate your future. That is how you master yourself. You've learned the principle. Most progress happens in private where no applause exists. You've seen examples from musicians, entrepreneurs, athletes, and inventors. Now it's time to implement it. Track your progress privately. Work relentlessly. Ignore the noise. Next, we move to Chapter 7, Kill Instant Gratification. Because mastering yourself requires patience and delayed rewards, not chasing fleeting pleasures. Are you ready to silence your habits and let results scream? Chapter 7, Kill Instant Gratification. Stop chasing comfort. Stop chasing pleasure. Stop letting fleeting satisfaction rule your life. Instant gratification is a trap. It feels good in the moment, but it destroys your future. It steals your energy. It steals your focus. It steals your potential. Every time you choose short-term pleasure over long-term gain, you are paying a price, one your future self will feel. You have a choice. Suffer the small now. Reap the massive later. That's the key. Repeat it. Suffer the small now. Reap the massive later. Think about it. Every moment of indulgence, scrolling your phone instead of reading, spending money instead of saving, skipping a workout instead of training, seems harmless. It feels satisfying in the present. But these tiny decisions accumulate. They compound. They shape who you become. Instant gratification may provide a temporary high, but it erodes discipline, destroys momentum, and delays mastery. That's the reality. You have a choice. Suffer the small now. Reap the massive later. Say it now. Embed it in your mind. Live it. Let's use money as an example. Disciplined savers versus spenders. The spender buys the instant pleasure, a fancy coffee, a new gadget, a night out. Feels good in the moment. Feels satisfying. But the compounding cost? Years of missed opportunities, interest lost, wealth that could have grown. The disciplined saver skips the small pleasures. Sacrifices today. Invests, saves, builds. Invisible wins. Months and years later, the difference is staggering. Discipline compounds. Instant gratification compounds too, but in the wrong direction. That is the power of delayed rewards. You have a choice. Suffer the small now. Reap the massive later. Repeat it. Repeat it. Repeat it. Look at health and fitness. Cookie tastes good. Skipping the gym feels easy. Laying on the couch feels comfortable. But every small decision adds up. Every skipped workout, every indulgent meal, every moment of comfort slowly erodes your potential. The opposite is true for delayed gratification. Each disciplined action, working out, eating clean, training consistently, builds your strength, your resilience, and your confidence. Your results compound. Your future self thrives. That's the principle. That's the secret. You have a choice. Suffer the small now. Reap the massive later. Here's the mental truth. Humans are wired for instant pleasure. Biology, evolution, society, they all encourage it. But progress is unnatural. Growth is uncomfortable. Discipline is uncomfortable. Sacrifice is uncomfortable. That's why most people fail. That's why most people stay mediocre. That's why average lives are filled with temporary highs and long-term regret. You are not average. You are capable of more. But only if you kill instant gratification. Only if you prioritize delayed rewards. Only if you suffer now to reap later. You have a choice. Suffer the small now. Reap the massive later. Say it aloud. Say it to yourself. Repeat it until it's unshakable. Let me give you a story. A young entrepreneur wanted to start a business. Instead of buying luxuries, partying, or chasing temporary pleasures, they saved, studied, and reinvested every penny into learning and growth. The process was slow, uncomfortable, lonely, but invisible wins accumulated. Years later, the results exploded. Wealth, independence, and freedom. Instant gratification would have destroyed it all. Delayed rewards created compounding advantages. That is the principle. That is the lesson. That is the path to mastery. You have a choice. Suffer the small now. Reap the massive later. Repeat it. Another example. Athletes preparing for a championship. Every early morning run, every skipped indulgence, every disciplined meal, every extra hour of practice. None of it is glamorous. None of it is celebrated. It is painful. It is uncomfortable. It is invisible. But all those small sacrifices compound. They create extraordinary results. That is the principle of delayed gratification. That is the principle of invisible wins working together. That is how mastery is built. You have a choice. Suffer the small now. Reap the massive later. Repeat it. Here's how to implement this principle immediately. Step 1. Identify one area of your life where you are giving in to instant gratification. Money, food, social media, entertainment, or habits. Step 2. Commit to a small, deliberate sacrifice. Delay the pleasure. Step 3. Redirect that energy toward growth. Reading, learning, practicing, building, or saving. Step 4. Track your progress privately. Step 5. Repeat. Day after day. Week after week. Month after month. This is how compounding works. This is how invisible wins accumulate. This is how your future self thrives. You have a choice. Suffer the small now. Reap the massive later. Repeat it. Repeat it. Repeat it. The world will tempt you. Society will encourage instant rewards. Friends will call you indulgent or boring for denying yourself. Your mind will protest. Your body will crave comfort. That is normal. That is natural. But winners are not natural. Winners are deliberate. Winners act despite the discomfort. Winners embrace sacrifice today for exponential gains tomorrow. That is discipline. That is mastery. That is growth. You have a choice. Suffer the small now. Reap the massive later. Finally, remember, delayed rewards create freedom. Delayed gratification creates leverage. Delayed discipline creates compounding advantages that instant pleasure can never provide. Every moment you choose to delay, to sacrifice, to endure small discomforts, you are building momentum, resilience, and results that will define your life. Instant gratification only destroys potential. Delayed rewards create mastery. You have a choice. Suffer the small now. Reap the massive later. Let it guide you, let it anchor your decisions, and let it shape your future. That is how you outgrow yesterday. That is how you dominate your future. That is how you master yourself. You've learned the principle. Instant gratification is the silent killer of growth, and delayed rewards are the compounding advantage. Now it's time to implement it. Next, we move to Chapter 8, Build Habits, Not Goals. Because mastery is not about intentions or fleeting motivation. It's about systems and routines that compound over time. Are you ready to endure the small today for the massive tomorrow? Chapter 8, Build Habits, Not Goals. Stop obsessing over outcomes. Stop staring at the finish line. Stop letting goals control your life. Goals are fragile. Goals are fleeting. Goals give you direction, yes, but without systems they are useless. Systems, your habits, routines, and processes, are what create unstoppable forward motion. That's the key. Forget the finish line. Master the process. Repeat it. Forget the finish line. Master the process. Think about it. How often have you set a goal, felt inspired, and then slowly watched your motivation fade? A goal without a system is like planting a seed and walking away expecting a tree to grow without water, sunlight, or care. It won't happen. Systems are the soil, the water, the sunlight, and the consistent care that ensure growth. That's why every top performer, every master of their craft, focuses on the system, not the outcome. You have a choice. Forget the finish line. Master the process. Say it now. Embed it in your mind. Live it. Here's the brutal truth. Goals create anxiety. Goals create pressure. Goals are often measured by external validation. Checklists, deadlines, applause. Systems are different. Systems are private. Systems are consistent. Systems are invisible progress compounding over time. Systems turn small actions into unstoppable momentum. Systems are the bridge between who you are today and who you want to become. That's the principle. You have a choice. Forget the finish line. Master the process. Repeat it. Repeat it. Repeat it. Let's make this practical. James Clear, author of Atomic Habits, emphasizes tiny changes, repeated consistently, over obsession with outcomes. Reading 1 page per day may seem insignificant. Writing 1 paragraph per day may seem trivial. Exercising 10 push-ups per day may seem minor. But each action compounds silently. Each habit strengthens your foundation. Each process builds momentum. Over time, results become inevitable. That is the power of systems. That is the power of habits. You have a choice. Forget the finish line. Master the process. Say it aloud. Repeat it daily. Think about athletes. They don't obsess about winning every game. They obsess about practice, about routines, about drills, about repetition. Every day they show up. Every day they perfect small elements. Every day they improve marginally. Winning comes later as a byproduct of the system. If they chased the trophy instead of the process, their results would crumble. Focus on habits. Focus on systems. Focus on the invisible work. That is mastery. That is growth. That is momentum. You have a choice. Forget the finish line. Master the process. Here's another example. A writer tracking their daily word count. The goal is to finish a novel. The system is writing 500 words per day, every day, no excuses. Some days they feel motivated, some days they don't. Some days the words flow, some days they crawl. But the system doesn't care about motivation. The system doesn't care about obstacles. The system delivers results. The novel gets written not because of goals, but because of habits. That is the principle. That is the lesson. That is the path to mastery. You have a choice. Forget the finish line. Master the process. Repeat it. Now let's confront a mental trap. Goal chasing often leads to failure. We set big goals, wait for motivation, and then give up when it's hard. Goals feel exciting at first, but then reality hits. Obstacles appear. Discipline wanes. Motivation fades. That is natural. That is human. Systems bypass this trap. Systems focus on small, repeatable actions. Systems make progress inevitable. Systems create unstoppable momentum. That's the difference between dreamers and doers. You have a choice. Forget the finish line. Master the process. Repeat it. Repeat it. Repeat it. Here's how to implement systems today. Step 1. Identify one key area of life: fitness, learning, productivity, health, or skill development. Step 2. Design a small habit, something you can do daily, consistently, without relying on motivation. Step 3. Embed it in your routine. Make it automatic. Step 4. Track it. Measure it. Adjust it if necessary. Step 5. Repeat. Every day. The results will follow silently, invisibly, inevitably. That is the power of systems. That is how mastery is built. You have a choice. Forget the finish line. Master the process. Consider entrepreneurs. The most successful don't obsess over revenue targets. They obsess over daily systems. Writing, emailing, learning, connecting, improving. Every process compounds. Every day matters. Every small action matters. Goals may define vision, but systems deliver results. Without systems, vision is meaningless. Without habits, goals are empty. That is the law. You have a choice. Forget the finish line. Master the process. Repeat it. Repeat it. Repeat it. Finally, understand this. The process is the reward. Growth, improvement, and mastery come from action, not anticipation. Goals are temporary milestones. Habits are lifelong leverage. Systems are your engine for unstoppable progress. Focus on what you can control, the actions, the routines, the small wins. Focus on what compounds. Focus on what endures. Forget the finish line. Master the process. Say it aloud. Say it daily. Repeat it until it becomes instinct. That is how you outgrow yesterday. That is how you dominate your future. That is how you master yourself. You've learned the principle. Systems, not goals, create unstoppable forward motion. You've seen examples from James Clear, athletes, writers, and entrepreneurs. Now it's time to implement. Focus on the process, not the finish line. Next, we move to Chapter 9. Resilience is silent. Because mastery isn't about avoiding failure. It's about enduring it silently and using it to grow stronger. Are you ready to shift from chasing outcomes to mastering your systems? Chapter 9. Embrace the quiet struggle. Stop avoiding discomfort. Stop running from the grind. Stop seeking applause before the work is done. Real growth is not flashy. Real growth is not comfortable. Real growth is quiet, lonely, and invisible, but it is permanent. That's the truth. You have a choice. Lean into the grind. Love the struggle. Silence is your ally. Repeat it. Lean into the grind. Love the struggle. Silence is your ally. Think about it. Every successful person you admire went through the quiet struggle. They worked when no one was watching. They failed when no one noticed. They persisted when the world doubted them. They endured long hours, isolation, and frustration. That is the price of mastery. That is the path of silent progress. That is how you outgrow yesterday. You have a choice. Lean into the grind. Love the struggle. Silence is your ally. Say it aloud. Embed it in your mind. Live it. Let me give you an example. Thomas Edison failed thousands of times before inventing the light bulb. Did anyone celebrate his failures? No. Did anyone cheer for the long nights of trial and error? No. He endured silently. He persisted privately. And eventually the results changed the world. That is the quiet struggle. That is invisible progress compounding into undeniable mastery. That is the principle you must adopt. You have a choice. Lean into the grind. Love the struggle. Silence is your ally. Repeat it. Repeat it. Repeat it. Think about innovators today. Entrepreneurs building startups. Authors writing their first books. Artists refining their craft. Every day they grind without recognition. Every day they face rejection. Every day they endure setbacks. And yet, that quiet struggle is building them, shaping them, preparing them for success. Invisible effort leads to visible results. That is the law of growth. That is the principle of mastery. You have a choice. Lean into the grind. Love the struggle. Silence is your ally. Say it aloud. Live it. Breathe it. Here's the coaching truth. Comfort is the enemy. Distraction is the enemy. The desire for instant validation is the enemy. Growth requires discomfort. Growth requires solitude. Growth requires repetitive effort that no one sees. You cannot outsource this struggle. You cannot shortcut this grind. You cannot wait for recognition to feel motivated. The work must be done even if the world doesn't notice. That is the principle of invisible progress. You have a choice. Lean into the grind. Love the struggle. Silence is your ally. Repeat it daily. Let's make it actionable. Step 1. Identify one area where growth feels uncomfortable. Learning a new skill, building a habit, exercising discipline, or improving your mindset. Step 2. Commit to doing the work privately without seeking praise. Step 3. Track your progress silently. Step 4. Push through the frustration, boredom, and discomfort. Step 5. Repeat. Over time, the invisible work compounds. Over time, the struggle builds resilience. Over time, mastery becomes inevitable. You have a choice. Lean into the grind. Love the struggle. Silence is your ally. Consider athletes. Champions don't train for the applause. They train in silence. They endure pain nobody sees. They practice repetitions nobody applauds. They push themselves past exhaustion, boredom, and doubt. Every moment of discomfort builds skill. Every invisible victory strengthens resilience. Every quiet struggle compounds into performance that amazes the world. That is the principle. That is the lesson. That is your pathway. You have a choice. Lean into the grind. Love the struggle. Silence is your ally. Repeat it. Another example. Writers, coders, and creators often toil for years in obscurity. Drafts are rewritten. Projects are scrapped. Ideas are tested and fail. The grind is invisible. The struggle is silent. Yet that is what builds excellence. That is what produces breakthroughs. That is what creates permanent results. Recognition comes only after mastery has been earned. That is the law. You have a choice. Lean into the grind. Love the struggle. Silence is your ally. Say it aloud. Own it. Live it. Here's the mental trick. Shift your mindset. Stop viewing struggle as punishment. Stop seeing failure as shame. Stop fearing discomfort. See every challenge as opportunity. Every setback as feedback. Every lonely hour as invisible progress. Struggle is your teacher. Grind is your ally. Silence is your mentor. That is the principle of lasting growth. That is the principle of mastery. You have a choice. Lean into the grind. Love the struggle. Silence is your ally. Repeat it. Repeat it. Repeat it. Finally, understand this. The quiet struggle builds strength that applause cannot measure. The invisible work builds confidence that validation cannot give. The private grind builds resilience that shortcuts cannot teach. Success is not a moment. Success is the accumulation of persistent effort. Mastery is not public. Mastery is earned in silence. You have a choice. Lean into the grind. Love the struggle. Silence is your ally. That is how you outgrow yesterday. That is how you dominate your future. That is how you master yourself. You've learned the principle. Real growth is uncomfortable, lonely, and invisible, but permanent. You've seen examples from innovators, athletes, writers, and inventors. Now it's time to implement. Commit to your private work, embrace discomfort, and let the results speak for themselves. Next, we move to Chapter 10, You Against Yesterday. Because mastery is not complete until you commit to relentless self-improvement, every single day, outpacing the person you were yesterday. Are you ready to embrace the quiet struggle and win silently? Chapter 10. Your war against yesterday ends today. Stop waiting. Stop hesitating. Stop telling yourself you'll start tomorrow. The war against yesterday is happening right now. Every second you waste, every moment you hesitate, your old self is winning. Your habits, your comfort, your distractions, these are your enemies. Today is your battlefield. And today is the day the fight ends. You have a choice. Win today. Outgrow yesterday. Repeat without mercy. That's the key. Repeat it. Win today. Outgrow yesterday. Repeat without mercy. Think about everything you've learned in this audiobook. Stop proving and start doing. Ignore validation. Focus on your future self. Outperform yesterday. Celebrate invisible wins. Kill instant gratification. Build habits, not goals. Embrace the quiet struggle. Every chapter was a weapon. Every lesson a strategy. And now it all converges. Discipline, patience, habits, self-mastery, they are no longer theory. They are your arsenal. You have a choice. Win today. Outgrow yesterday. Repeat without mercy. Say it aloud. Internalize it. Live it. Let's make this practical. Step 1. Identify your key areas of growth. Pick 1 or 2 aspects of your life that matter most. Fitness, focus, productivity, skills, mindset, or finances. Step 2. Break them into daily habits. Forget vague goals. Forget the finish line. Focus on the process. Daily, repeatable actions create unstoppable momentum. Step 3. Track your invisible wins. Document progress privately. Celebrate silently. Let results speak louder than applause. Step 4. Kill distractions. Remove temptations. Delay instant pleasure. Sacrifice small comforts today for massive advantages tomorrow. Step 5. Embrace discomfort. Lean into the grind. Love the struggle. That is where transformation is forged. You have a choice. Win today. Outgrow yesterday. Repeat without mercy. Let's revisit your mindset. Your old self is watching. Your past decisions are taunting you. But you are stronger. You are disciplined. You are armed with strategies, tactics, and insight. The battlefield is your life, and your opponent is yesterday's version of you. Every choice you make today is a victory or a defeat. Every action either strengthens or weakens you. Do not surrender. Do not hesitate. Do not compromise. You have a choice. Win today. Outgrow yesterday. Repeat without mercy. Consider the silent wins you've ignored until now. Every hour of practice, every disciplined habit, every choice to endure discomfort, they all accumulate. The invisible victories compound. You are stronger than yesterday, smarter than yesterday, more disciplined than yesterday, and the gap will widen as long as you keep showing up. That is the principle. That is the law. That is the way of mastery. You have a choice. Win today. Outgrow yesterday. Repeat without mercy. Now let's confront your excuses. I'm tired. I don't have time. I'll start tomorrow. Stop. Excuses are the ammunition of your old self. They are the lies that keep yesterday alive. You don't need permission. You don't need motivation. You don't need inspiration. You need action. You need discipline. You need relentless focus. You need to show up even when it hurts, even when it's uncomfortable, even when nobody is watching. That is how battles are won. That is how mastery is forged. You have a choice. Win today. Outgrow yesterday. Repeat without mercy. Here's how to integrate all principles at once. Step 1. Create a morning ritual. Include habits that improve your body, mind, and focus. Step 2. Schedule your daily actions around systems, not goals. Step 3. Identify 1 instance of delayed gratification per day. Skip 1 unnecessary indulgence. Work instead of scrolling, save instead of spending. Step 4. Track 1 invisible win. Write, exercise, read, or practice skill silently. Step 5. Review your progress at night. Reflect on how you outperformed yesterday. Adjust tomorrow's actions. Step 6. Repeat. Every day. No excuses. No mercy. You have a choice. Win today. Outgrow yesterday. Repeat without mercy. Let's solidify this with a story. Consider an entrepreneur building a business in solitude. Every day they applied habits consistently, embraced discomfort, avoided instant gratification, and silently improved. They faced rejection, failure, and doubt. They persisted. They tracked invisible wins. They outperformed yesterday. Years later, the results became undeniable. The empire they built was not flashy at first, but unstoppable in the long term. That is the power of relentless self-mastery. That is the lesson. That is the principle. You have a choice. Win today. Outgrow yesterday. Repeat without mercy. Remember, the battlefield never waits. Time moves relentlessly. Every second you waste strengthens your old self. Every moment of action strengthens your new self. Momentum is built daily, silently, invisibly. The war against yesterday is continuous. There is no pause, no shortcut, no magic pill. Only persistent action, ruthless discipline, and repeated mastery. That is the formula. That is the law. You have a choice. Win today. Outgrow yesterday. Repeat without mercy. Here's the final mantra. Repeat it in your mind. Repeat it aloud. Repeat it until it is unshakable. Win today. Outgrow yesterday. Repeat without mercy. Let it guide your actions. Let it drive your habits. Let it define your life. Every day you live by this principle, you move closer to mastery. Every day you ignore it, you let yesterday win. You have a choice. Choose wisely. Win today. Outgrow yesterday. Repeat without mercy. And one last thing before you go. If this audiobook has helped you understand the power of self-mastery, silent progress, and relentless discipline, hit that subscribe button. Join a community of listeners committed to outgrowing yesterday, mastering their habits, and building unstoppable momentum. Notifications are free. Growth is free. Momentum is priceless. Subscribe now and never miss a chapter that can transform your life. You've finished the journey. You've learned the principles. You've seen the examples. You've internalized the mantras. Now it is time to act. Your war against yesterday ends today. Step onto the battlefield. Show up. Take action. Outperform yourself. Build your systems. Embrace discomfort. Celebrate invisible wins. Delay gratification. Lean into the grind. Silence your distractions. Master your habits. Serve your future self. And above all, remember, win today. Outgrow yesterday. Repeat without mercy.